It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Krzysztof Polanowski all the way from Warsaw, Poland. He's a dentist, lecturer, practicing dentist. He runs over 100 sessions in many countries. From a couple of years, Chris runs workshops for Cosmedent and has published many articles in Dental Town magazine. He's a very active townie. He's been a townie since 2004 with over 1,000 posts. And it's a real honor for you to come on the show today. It's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday here. What time is it in Poland?
I don't know, but probably it's a night. But I am in San Francisco now.
Oh, that's right. You're in San Francisco. Ed, what are you doing in San Francisco?
I just finished my short holiday, 3-4 days with sightseeing. And Sunday in Middle Europe, and I am back. And Monday, I'm just back in my work.
So, what are you most passionate about today? What are you lecturing on? What are you most passionate about?
This is quite complicated because, as you know, Howard, I'm just bringing some technology in the thermoplastic prosthodontics many years ago to the Middle Europe. I was connected to the Valplas Corporation at that time. Now, I'm in close touch with Meyerson company, so my first activity was prosthodontics, removable part or dentures, any kinds. As a close connection, I also make some technician jobs, so it was much easier for me to understand the procedures. I still have a skill to make the denture from the beginning to the end, personally, without any lab. That's good for the future when I wasn't able to put I will not be able to put the implants. So after the prosthodontic, I changed my activities into adhesion. And adhesion is very grateful for Roger Kanka. I'm working close with him and also perform some Apex dental products in Europe. And we try to spread out this information and some techniques. But it's similarly like Cosmedent. Also trying to make some workshop, and I run some education program from Cosmedent in the Middle Europe. So the education is some part of my activities, but I mostly sacrifice my time in normal dental practice. This is my the first choice, and the education is additionally.
Well, that's always the best. Everybody wants to learn from those that do, not from those that don't, and you obviously do. One of the things I love about listening to you and your posts is that these students, they graduate from dental school, they've never even done a denture, but they've heard about 20 lectures on All-on-4, and every time an American pays $25,000 for one arch of All-on-4, 100 Americans get an all-on-none, and it's like no one wants to talk about dentures. I love the fact that you talk about dentures. That's the mass market.
It's this is because to make the dentures is taking a lot of time. From the business sides, I'm working to make it a good life. So I'm making personally almost every year over 130 implants. It takes me 45 minutes to put the implant. Yeah. So, but the denture is a different story. It's giving less income, but it's more difficult, but it's more safe. So normally in all over the world, between 5 and 10% of the population can afford to make the implants, and but the dentures will be making everybody all over the world. There is some improvements. It start to be more and more popular digital systems. It is not popular now, but more and more technicians, especially technicians, forced the project into computer. But anyway, if you compare the quality of the dentures, everything is going not about materials, about the time. I still support the air pound and tubercle ideas. It is the handy job. The machine and the digital system could be helpful, but it doesn't change the handy skill. It doesn't change the handy skill. The handy job and time is the most important. But that's the root of the matter. But the denture is less popular. It's simply because it takes a lot of time and it gives less income.
So what denture technology do you like?
I prefer the old-fashioned technology based of air pound ideas. Also, I'm familiar with massage technique, shipment, and Jack Turbyfield. And I know all these activities. Sometimes I change some information, Thomas Zaleski and some other technicians. I'm not supporting Geisy and Gerber technique because it's more theoretical. And that's the problem. So the arts are different from each another. That's good. It's good for the lecture and for theoretical demonstration, the Geisy and anatomic occlusion. But in reality, the situation is completely different.
Poland has 22,000 dentists for 38 million people. They got a dentist for every 17,000 citizens of Poland. How is dentistry different in Poland, do you think, versus the United States?
It's same. If you compare the quality of materials, technology, it's same. But the income is different. I'm charging for one implant usually something like $1,000, yes. So I'm making over 130. If I will be making that in United States, there is a different story. So that's the reason my work time is something like between 8 till 9 hours a day. So I'm making some 10 till 14 patients a day. But this is the private practice. I also have some department using the insurance system. And the insurance system in Europe is different. For example, in England, in UK, because we have the open market in Europe. Some of my colleagues working in England. I have some contract in Netherlands before. So there is the turnover of almost 80 patients a day. Could you imagine that 3 minutes for one patient? 3 minutes. So normally it's like the selling, because you are working for the insurance company and you are salary based on turnover. You are getting the percentage of turnover. You are like the corporate job. So that's there is not any good issue for any insurance system all over the world. The insurance is important. I was in Chicago last time, and this was a good lecture from Bob Margias. And he has a practice divided from the private practice and insurance system, because not everybody can afford for that. But anyway, the insurance in Europe is completely different. It's seemingly it exists, but in reality you can't wait for 2 or 3 months for the appointment. Same is in England, because in Germany you can buy and you can pay extra money for ceramic crowns and other more complicated procedures. It is not for free. No.
So what do you think these what do you think all the dentists listening to you should think more about in regards to making a full denture? What have you learned over the years?
There's the most everything in every procedure is to keep everything simple. Keep it simply. If you're making a lot of lectures and education program about occlusion, but if you come back and you will be thinking about full dentures, everything is based on simply principles: camper line, horizontal line, steady balanced occlusion. This is the main important point. That means the unnecessary complication could give a lot of problems. If you keep it simply, it's predictable. And the young people especially, that are focused on occlusion, they make the cusp, they make some change the worn dentition, but everything is coming simply: horizontal line, camper line, balanced occlusion. That's the main important points. So if you are losing the big picture, and you are focused only on small details, that is the biggest mistakes. But anyway, even using the simple procedure, it's possible to get good quality denture. So everything depends of some small details. The stone, the time. This is important. You could make it. It's possible to make very fast denture, but it will not be good denture. Even if you are making the impression, you are giving the impression to the technician. The technicians is poor with the stone. The stone must set over 2 hours. to get the empty propriety. If they start making the job faster to cut the corners, it will not be the same denture. It will be not precise denture. You could rely on it later, but it will but you are losing the time. But other times, the full denture is the wine point. The most important is the framework denture. In all over the world, everybody have the same problem because they can't. The dentist could make the project and the preparation and the pre-treatment appointments are more important, and they cost more, like typical metal denture. You couldn't divide it into, you could make the impression and send to the lab and say, Mr. Technicians, give me the full denture, the partial denture, the metal framework. It will not exist. The typical framework denture should be projected by the dentists. And next, giving the instruction to the technicians, they making the typical framework denture. This is more complicated. That's the typical problem for all over the world. Metal denture is not framework denture. Metal denture can be dropping denture. Metal frame denture. It is completely different denture based of project, of occlusion. There should be altered cast impression. There should be some preparation before some supporting elements. This is giving the highest quality, and it needs time and it needs money.
It is time and money because one of the largest metal partial denture labs in North America is in Nogales, Arizona. Where everything's shipped in Nogales, Arizona, then it's drove over into Mexico, and they're made in Nogales, Mexico. And when I go down there, they get 1,000 cases a day for a metal partial framework, and 90% of them, the dentist hasn't even made a receipt, hasn't done anything. They're just set an impression and saying make a partial.
Yeah, that's the different story. This partial could be by chance, accidentally the framework denture, typically. But normally this is the metal denture. It's, semi-dropping denture, more or less precise. But everything is coming about the project. You make the interview, you're making the cast, you make the project, you are using surveyor. If you are asking many dentists what is important for frame denture process, they say articulator is not the surveyor. This is the most important element, tool to make the precise framework denture. So this is the problem with the education, and not too much colleagues want to sacrifice enough time for that because it needs sending casts to and fro. Perhaps there's some cases using the computer design. It's giving some possibilities to save a lot of time. Most important for technicians, but also for the dentist. But anyway, the problem with the framework denture is a pre-treatment and the project. It belongs to the dentist. Should be belongs to the dentist, but is not. That's the different story. In somebody, even in the dental town, they compare thermoplastic denture, acrylic denture, and metal denture. Everything depends of project, qualification, pre-treatment. In some simplified, if there is some cases when this patient can afford for pre-treatment to make some crowns, to prepare some place for the rest, in these cases, the thermoplastic on some mixed denture, call it hybrid denture, could be more predictable. But you couldn't classify the dentures based of material. So this denture is made from metal, that's mean it will be framework denture. It is not like that.
So let's talk time. If someone comes into you, how many appointments does it take to make a denture, and how long of a period of time does it take before they first meet you versus they get their denture delivered?
It's unpredictable. If there is some partial denture, first the appointment is the interview. You're making some impression. If you have the impression, you can talk with the patients about the treatment. Some dentures need to first periodontal treatment, some surgery, some extractions, and so on. And another part of patients will be choosing the simple method. They want this denture to this situation they have already in their mouth. It is simple. It should be 3-4 appointments. The most specialized, the high-quality denture treatment needs a lot of time. It is unpredictable how many times. Usually, if you are making some simple case, it takes some 8 till 10 appointments.
And in your Polish market, do more people just pay cash out of pocket, or is there much third-party insurance involvement paying for it?
No, it's only pay cash. It's only pay cash. Yes.
And do you think that's makes for a healthier dental market when it's cash only, or do you think the countries that have dental insurance subsidies paid by a third-party employer or government, do you think that makes the dental market healthier and better, or do you think it does not?
No. It is, in my private opinion, it's not good to put some insurance cases in the private practice. Because of some procedure, I divided this section into 2 different departments. Some people prefer to, if you pay a little money, they expect the same quality, like this full payment. It won't exist for this. Not after some time, you notice it is not good for both sides. But anyway, there is some countries when it's possible to pay. The government is paying the money for some high qualified procedures. For example, in Netherlands, and they are paying for implants. So there doesn't exist endo treatment because the financial managers of the clinics prefer dentists to take out the teeth to make the extraction instead of endo. So the people making a lot of implants because it is increasing the turnover. So his salary is bigger. And the funny regulation is in Poland. So if you have a single incisor cut off in the corner, you are in the insurance system is obliged to make the oblige. It is straight. It's not an aesthetic. So the endo treatment is covering only for canines. The molars not. So that's every country has their own regulation, but. There is important for some people, and I think the market is protected by themselves. So, anyway, the people know how to take advantages of some insurance payments, but it will not be the same quality, the same acceptation like for private practice. In reality, some of my colleagues working in England to get some skills, from England to working in Netherlands, and some colleagues who running the private practice, they have their own private practice and employed other colleagues for insurance system clinics because they're afraid to lose their good name. But insurance is important. But it will not be the same, The people will be expected the same, like in the private practice, and that everything is going about the time. And the insurance in England, you can have 80 patients a day. Could you imagine that your private practice, when you have your private patient in 3 minutes, it's impossible. So you have 4 assistants or 5 assistants, 4 chairs, and you are only one. Because this method of job is different.
When you're a licensed dentist in Poland, because of the EU, is it easy for you to go practice in all the other EU countries?
Yes.
And that's you call that the Eurozone, right?
Yes.
And do a lot of Polish dentists leave Poland and go to other countries for economic reasons? Is that very popular?
Yeah, but it's going about the quality of life mostly. And I have almost 2,000 colleagues in the UK, in Sweden, in Netherlands. But in Poland, it's also the salary and the level of the life is quite good, but it costs you more time in the job. Some colleagues want to come back, but their child's grown up. They took some credits. They opened the private practice, and they are trapped. But it's everything depends of the situation. In fact, we have some our colleagues are aboard. They are working aboard. They are satisfied. Especially the young people, they prefer to go to the private practice and come back. They after that doesn't worried about some taxes, some marketing, and so on.
So you say out of the 22,000 Polish dentists, 2,000 of them have gone abroad in the EU zone?
Yeah.
And the most popular is the UK?
Yeah.
After Brexit, will that change the situation for the dentists from Poland in the UK?
No, definitely not. Some people are the Brexit is the people are working TV. They think is the problem, but some citizen in England. It is officially exists on Brexit, but doesn't change anything yet. Perhaps in the future, but for these people who started the job a couple years ago, it doesn't change anything. And the British situation, apart from the dentistry, they know that they make the bad step. But I think the politician will be postponed. They will be trying to make the procedure longer because it's everything close to each other. And so, for example, in Scotland, and Scotland is a different independent part of England, they have some arguing between them. For the dentist, doesn't change anything. It's the same like it was before.
So most people are saying that at the next election, Scotland is going to pull out of the United Kingdom. Do you think they will?
No. It's, like the joke, it's like the war between North and South Korea. Everybody thought afraid of the war, but, it's...
I mean, they've been part of the UK since 1705. It'd be stunning. Not to get into politics, but do you think Brexit with the United Kingdom pulling out of the EU, do you think that's the beginning of the end for the Eurozone, or do you think it's not?
It's not. I think it is only because of financial situation. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it seems like it's just that the fact that of the 19 countries, the northern countries in the cold are subsidizing the southern warm countries on the Mediterranean. I think that's basically the only issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that's what the north and the south is completely different in Europe. Even the methods of the job is different. Regarding dentistry, for example, the colleagues who are working on the south, like Spain and Greece, they have different method, different attitude to the job, and according to the north. From the practitioner side, I think the north, where is the cold and other situation, the people are more how can I say, more precise, more effective.
So you'd say those 2,000 colleagues mostly went to the UK and Sweden?
Yeah, mostly UK, Ireland, Sweden, Denmark, Germany. The France a little bit less popular because the French language is not popular in Poland, but in Spain it's also it's an open market now. And we have some colleagues from Italy who came to Poland to open the clinics.
Were they coming? They say you only leave your country of birth for money, or love, or you're running from the law. So were they coming to Poland for the love of their life or the money, or do you think they were running from the law?
Yes, before I remember some situation. It was 20 years ago when was one of the colleagues from Netherlands. He came because of law to Poland, but he was his license was in there. Somebody had some problem with the license in the Netherlands, so he came to Poland, and the implants came on the market. Who was the first of the implantology in that country? Some colleagues who lose the license in Poland try to work in Russia, for example. But the system is so closed. So if I have my license and I want to work to Ireland, I must show the license. They are checking between the dental organization. But anyway, I think this financial and the method, the type of life. No, this is a different story to work between 8 o'clock a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 hours. So this is the most important, especially for the young colleagues.
What is the most common implant system used in Poland?
It's almost 100. It's almost 100 system on the market. We are the fifth position in the world presently in quantity of implant procedures. The most popular Korean systems, and in
how do you spell that? Can you find that? What you said? What system was the most popular?
Korean systems.
Can you spell
the Koreans? Yes, South Korea is the first country in quantity of the implants. So they're putting the biggest quantity of implants. So the most popular marks are Ostem. Before was BioHorizon, is a Neobiotech. Also from Israel. From Israel we have Alpha Bio. We have a MIS system. We have it's a lot. This is the most important. Of course, we have also we have some Bicon. We have some United States implants, Spain, Mosogru. We have an Italian system, Leone, for example. It's a lot.
And
but the Koreans are most popular.
The Koreans?
Yes.
The Koreans? And which one of the Koreans' implants is the most popular? You said it was osteum?
Osteum is popular, but I think the Neobiotech is more popular like osteum.
So you thought osteum was the most popular from Korea.
Osteum and Neobiotech.
And Neobiotech. First of all, I'm so impressed that you can do an interview in English that's not your native language. I couldn't give you one. I've lectured in Warsaw 3 times, 5 years apart, and I still don't know one Polish word. I have so much credit to you guys that can multi.
I learned English without any lecture in Sweden. Because when I was in the college, I spent 1 year in Sweden. And next, because I am almost 2-3 times in United States, so I still keep the touch with the English language. But I forget German.
You forget German?
I forget German. In the communist time, I was very often in the East German country, and we have some exchange youth exchange program. So I was speaking German fluently. After my university, I just lost the touch with the German language, and now I'm not able to speak in Germany.
Well, the Roman Empire spun off 5 languages: Romania, Italian, French, Portuguese, Spanish. Is the Polish language like that? I mean, if you understand Polish, do you kind of understand German or Russian, or not really?
No, Russian, yes. We are, for me, it's very easy to understand Russian language, Slovakian, Czech, Croatia, Slovenia. This is the less understandable language for me is Hungary.
Is that right?
Hungary is a similar language like Finland.
So what is for what percent of the posterior restorations done in Poland would be amalgam versus direct composite?
Amalgam is not popular from many years. The most people prefer the composite restoration, mostly even big restoration, not inlay implants indirect. The most popular is the direct composite restoration.
And is that for health reasons because they don't think mercury and amalgam is safe, or is it purely cosmetics?
It's cosmetics because market demands that. But as you know, amalgams, it's invasive. but it lasts the longest. You know, the Richard Price comparison chart between the longest amalgams, VS composites, and because of the quality of polymerization and the method of adhesion. This is the details, more the most important, and the simplified adhesive systems, pure lights, and bad technique. It gives dramatically drop down the quality of the posterior restoration. So amalgam is not bad in my private opinion, but it's not popular. But I know there is some company in the United States making amalgams without mercury.
You mean instead of using mercury, using gallium?
I think so. This is the only one manufacturer. I don't remember the name.
Was it SDI, Southern Dental Industries, out of Melbourne, Australia?
No. This is typically from the United States. It is not Australian company. It's a small company. They have a good documentation, and there is not mercury any longer. I can send you when I come back privately the name of this company, but it's
do a
not.
search for silver filling with no mercury in the United States. I think the only other substitute for mercury that I've seen around the world is gallium.
Yeah. Probably. I have the data because I was spoke with them on I think in Chicago. In Chicago, I spoke with them 2 years ago.
How was you at the Chicago Midwinter, or was it a company in Chicago?
Oh, it is Mercury. This was an exhibition meeting.
I got to tell my listeners why you were in Chicago. It's kind of funny, but the largest Polish city outside of Poland is Chicago, where 1 out of every 7 people is Polish. There are areas in Chicago where you would think you were in downtown Warsaw, all the signs are in Polish, and whenever I lecture in Poland, all I have to do is fly to Chicago, and every 4 hours, LOT has a nonstop flight directly from Chicago to Warsaw. And it's funny, when you lecture in Warsaw, every dentist there knows someone who lives in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. It's the second Polish city in the world, I think.
Yeah.
But it's the part of Chicago where was an old generation of Polish immigrants. It started to be some of the party moved to the downtown, and because they got a better, higher level of the life. So there are now presently the old Polish part in Chicago is divided now. They are mixed. It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago.
Well, they got better food down there.
I love the food in Chicago. I love it.
Yeah. So now, do you see a lot of international dental tourism where people in Chicago get a price for how much it would cost in expensive Chicago and figure it's cheaper to fly 9 hours to Warsaw and get their dentistry done there?
No, mostly we have from UK and from Germany, from UK. But this is only if somebody have a family connection and they are coming 2-3 times a year for visitation, it is reasonable. You see, this is I'm not supporting this type of treatment because every patient should be under control, but like in the setting, everybody try to make anything cheap. I know you have some problem in this way. I'm in San Francisco now, and I know exactly. So the people are making that California and Mexico. You can go to the Mexico, cross the border, you have a very cheap, dental treatment.
Yeah, it's very political. I know you're never supposed to talk about politics, but in the states that border Mexico, which is mainly where you're at now, California, where I am at now, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. A lot of the poor Americans go down to Mexico to get their dentistry, but when Mexican dentists come up here and practice without their license, they're arrested. And I always thought that was interesting. I mean, I think it's one thing when the Food and Drug Administration says this drug is not approved for this cancer, But where they cross the line is when they say, well, I'm dying of cancer. Can I try the drug? I mean, I have no other options. And they say no. And I always think on the licensing of dentists, I mean, I think it's a racket with the government. I mean, if I go to you and I say I am not a licensed dentist in America and I didn't go to an American dental school, that they're just telling me the facts. But when they say, hey, you're a poor Mexican, you don't have any money, here's a Mexican dentist, but he didn't go to dental school in America, he's not licensed in America. But when the government goes in and says, oh no, he can't help you, well, then I always go back to think, so what are you saying, that no dentistry is better than some dentistry? I mean, it's almost like the healthcare is in a collusion with the government through their state boards to deny poor people dentistry from people from their own country who speak their own language. I mean, I don't see what's American about that.
I don't know how is it the same problem we have with Ukraine dentists, but the regulation should be, it's going about some standards. From the theoretical point of view, it should be. From the practical, I was a couple of months ago in Acapulco, and I saw some buses, the buses with the dentists. I couldn't imagine that even in Poland and on some, it's some standard,
I just will always be bitter that the lady I bought my house from had to sell everything and move to Scandinavia because she was dying of cancer, and there was only one drug being studied for it, and it wasn't FDA approved, and she couldn't get on the study in America. So here she was, born in America, and most people want to die at home, and she had to sell her home and move to Scandinavia just to try the drug. And I thought, that is so un-American that an American pharmaceutical company with Americans making a disease for my cancer can't try it on another American who's willing to sign away and say, I know it's not FDA approved, I know that, but I have no other choices, I just want to try it. And these government FDA in collusion with the pharmaceutical industry says, no, you don't have that right. So she had to leave her country to get the drug. I mean, I just think that was so defiant.
Yeah, and the thing that so it should be some free choice, some common sense, and the regulation. I'm the practitioner, I'm not theoretical, and I have some regarding dentists. We have some problem with some, medicine to how can I say, to devitalize the teeth. We have something from France, from Septudot company. Now is unallowed in Poland, but everybody are buying via internet. Avoiding, it is some rules. Me as a doctor, I can bring any medicine from all over the world, even if it's not registered in Poland.
Yeah, I just believe in liberty and freedom, and and when I see poor people getting dentistry done in some poor person's home in the poorest part of Phoenix called Guadalupe, and they send in the government to go arrest them and spend all this money prosecuting. I mean, that poor person getting dentistry, it's not like they had money and were going to the nice rich dentist up the street. They were out of the market, they were below the radar, and I just can't understand. But back to composite. I shouldn't talk politics. Back to composites. You said that amalgam is not popular. Direct composite is. What is the most popular direct composites you see in Poland?
Same like, over the world, some care products, Fritech, from Dentsply, from some Voco Gradio, for example. It's the same all over the world. The high quality composite like Cosmedent Rinamel and Exquisite from John, they are less popular, of course. But there is some situation. The first inventor of the layer technique was a botmapper. And Poland is under Italian influence, and Italians came off the market 12 years ago. So nobody knows before about Vanini and so on, Ticci. And they are selling their composite methods in the Middle Europe and in Ukraine. And they are not popular over the world. But because of a strict relationships and some connection with Polish dental university. They very strongly protect the market. This composite from Italy, like enamel collet in United States, Vitalescence, is not bad, but for example, in this small part of the world is taken as the first, the most, how can I say, most the top-ranking composites. Depends on the connections, and this is for the artists, and this is good for the high qualified aesthetics, and for the typical practitioner, the typical composites, like from the biggest manufacturer, they're most popular because of price.
So you're a big fan of Buddy Mofford, who actually was the first webinar we ever did on Dental Town, was Buddy Mofford. So and he's in Chicago, where all the Polish Americans are mostly. So are you been big friends with Buddy Mofford over the years?
Yes, we see each other every year, because I'm making the program, the education program, workshops based of the Cosmedent Institutes. I also have a close connection with the Deepish Parmar, who are also making some workshop in the United States, and the close connection via internet with John Kanka, and I'm just supporting her adhesive systems, of course. I'm just watching now for the young generation United States dentist. It's called Dietrich Galen, and they have some disruptive group, and even post some link of them on the Dental Town. These are young people who are have a very good skill using artist job for the high quality aesthetics solution. And it's the funny story, because the occlusions start to be popular, and even in Poland we have some department or some group of people, close connection with the Dyson Institute and the Kois Institute. So John Kois was twice in Poland, I think, and some of my colleagues. I also supporting for many years the Kim Kuch Carie-Free program, because the prevention is the best solution, in my private opinion. And together with my wife, we are supporting the Carie-Free and Canberra program, at least from 7-8 years.
Yeah, those are all great people. Is Dental Town very popular in Poland?
Not, but in England, yes. In England it's popular.
And do you think that's because of the language difference?
Yes, definitely because of language first, and because of the personal connection. You see, sometimes everything. Some people are coming on some, education session not because to get the knowledge, some of because to meet each other. So everybody have their own tasks, and some people are, can I say, some blockheaded. They prefer, they don't open-minded for other opinions. They hear only one opinion leader, and they don't want to know any other.
So you know what I did, because looking at Dental Town, since it's most popular in the English-speaking countries, it's most popular in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Hong Kong. What we did is, it took us a year to do. Dental Town is 20 years old and has 500,000 lines of code that 5 programmers spent 20 years on. We finally made it so you can cut and paste an entire Dental Town and Dental Town app, so that anybody from another country, you could just start at, Dental Town Poland, and it could be, and everything would just be in Polish.
Yeah. I was discussed with the Thomas Jacobi 3 or 4 years ago, I remember, in Chicago, about that. And only from that time I performed the Dental Town in Lithuania. But it's a good idea, especially now, because every young dentist, Polish or other, they speak English. So the new generation, there is not any problem with the language for them.
Yeah,
but it's a good idea. So that is the things how to reach them. In my private opinion, as the member of the editor board, was a bet to close some the lectures program in the same condition like from United States dentists, because I remember some colleagues was able to take part of the education program from Dental Town before, and that was something like 4 years ago. The program, that some conditions and payments is same between all over the world. It was something like that, but I remember because before was most affordable for the young people, especially.
What is your favorite dental meeting? Is it the Cologne meeting, the IDF meeting, the internet? Is the IDF meeting in Cologne, Germany, which they have every other year? Is that your favorite meeting, or what is your favorite meeting?
Yes, I prefer to be in Chicago because I'm visiting Chicago so many years. But anyway, the Cologne is also, but it's typical. Cologne is a typical business meeting, and it's huge. So there is typical selling, and there is not an education program. For the people who are engaged with the business, the Germany is the biggest, and it must be taken part in this show. But for the typical practitioner, it is not good.
And why is that?
Because it's only business, you are talking on the booths about some products, and there is not any. Some practitioner not connected with the business and any corporation, they are taking part from the education program. You have in the Chicago, you see, it's a lot of education program that people can choose. It's not good for the manufacturer and the dealers, because a lot of attendance coming only for the education program, but in Germany, Cologne is the only business meeting. So if the people want to buy something and to know the products, this is the place for them. But it's not any education, Of course, on the booth, if they are talking with somebody, can explain some explanation, and so it's. But it's mostly a business meeting. Well, it's 5 days, so some people complain it's a little bit too long, but it's huge. It's really huge. And there's some opinions when some people are not satisfied, and even know some manufacturers from United States, they are not taking part in this show.
So there's United States dental companies that are now not going to the next IDF meeting in Cologne, Germany, March 12 to 19 in 2019.
Could you repeat?
So you're saying some dental companies are not going to the IDF meeting?
Yes.
And why do you feel that is?
This is everything is depends of how many this is a business, is not a practitioner. If you have a booth and you have 5 days, you are paying a lot of money for square meter or the traveling, and you have 20 or 30 people to talk each other, and you didn't notice any increase income after that show. So you can spend the same money, for the commercial, using newspapers on sales reps, and to reach other people directly without wasting the time. So
well, I have a different view of that, because I know what you're saying, because that's what all the Americans say, and you're very American because you go to Chicago so often. But in America, in the Cologne meeting, I think it's a very educational meeting, but the people providing the education are little, 20, 30 chairs in a company booth where the president of the company is telling you about his product. And in America, they think, oh, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't trust you because you sell the product. So I want to go listen to a middleman in a lecture hall, and this lecture hall guy is going to tell me about all these different companies.
Yeah.
But look at Cosmedent.
It's hard.
If I was going to listen to a lecture about Cosmedent, I would rather listen from Buddy Mofford, who owns the company. If I was going to listen about Ultradent products, I would rather listen to Dan Fisher, who owns
Yeah.
the company. But and then when the dentists say, "Yeah, but I don't trust them because they're selling something," I'm like, "Dude, you're selling stuff all day long. Why should your patients trust you
Yeah.
when you tell them that they have a
Yeah,
cavity?"
but
It's a trust issue.
this is the international problem. So the dentistry is always connected with some products. You can't tell about composite or about the stone or about the light current is the same, because this is depend on the manufacturer. This is the profession which is engaged with manufacturers. It is nothing bad if somebody is running their own company, but the people should have open mind. It's always possible to sell. Somebody is trying to perform the product as best as possible without any comparison because they want to sell. Of course they want to sell. Why not? I don't see anything wrong with that. So I'm just taking part in some GC program, and I saw, I heard the lecture of Clark from the Boya Clear to take some details important for me. But of course, doesn't exist any independence education program. It always should be based and connected with some supporting, manufacturer and so on. If there is performed honestly by the lecturer and provider, that's okay. But if somebody looking something and if this is performed as an independent program without any, commercial, it does not exist. It is, myth.
And what about water fluoridation? In the United States, for 50 years, 3 out of 4 cities and American people have been for it, and 1 out of 4 people and 1 out of 4 cities are not for it. What's the status of water fluoridation in Poland?
You mean foundation?
Water fluoridation, where they add fluoride to the drinking water to prevent or to reduce tooth decay?
We have some. We don't have. In Poland is a bad because you have some fluorized water, and the prevention is bad. Now, from the communist time, in every school was a dental unit. Now the government tried to come back to the same method like was before. Now the government tried to sign the contracts with the dentists to make the dental offices in the school supporting by government, by insurance system. It was a very good. In my time, I remember every month the hygienist, the assistants are coming and make the prevention for free. Now it does not exist, so the caries is increasing some now. The method for drilling and filling is still popular, but the prevention now starts to be more popular. And now is the new project from the government to put the dental offices into the school.
And what about the legal status of mercury in Europe? Sometimes you hear, how many countries have banned it? Is it a full ban? Is it just for pregnant women? Talk about.
And it's amalgam is still in use in across the Europe.
In all of Europe, you can still a dentist in all of the EU in every country can buy amalgam plate. I know there's we have a problem in the United States and around the world with fake news, and you're always seeing dentists forwarding these stories about, mercury's been banned in 5 countries, and it's like, well, okay, I'm on it. I'm going to find a dentist that banned it, and then I can't find it.
It's in use, but it's not popular because of demand of the patients. But it's legal across the Europe.
Yeah. So
officially, even without any license, some come and they bring that from China. So, but this is not good quality of the amalgams from China. But,
and then the worst part, when you read the studies from Facebook, it's something like 90% of the people who forward a news article never even opened the news article. I mean, they never even clicked it. It's just some clickbait title. And then you like that clickbait, so you forward it to your friends, and it's like, dude, when you forward something to your friends, that's a third person endorsement that this is something you should really read. And 9 out of 10 of these dentists are reading news stories forwarded them by people who never even opened the news story. And whenever I see those news stories about where mercury is banned and all this stuff like that, I chase it down, and there's no story there. I mean, I've podcasted 50 dentists from Europe. And so it's funny how that works. But I know you got a plane to catch. You're flying back to Warsaw right now?
Yes, yes.
So you're gonna fly San Fran to
I have
Chicago?
a flight connection from San Francisco to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt to Warsaw.
On what airline?
Lufthansa.
Okay. Well, hey, are you friends with Marcin Dolecki?
Dalecki.
Yeah.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, and I love Marcin. He's such a great guy. Last time I lectured in Warsaw, he let me spend the night in his house, which is so fun because when you travel overseas, you don't want to stay in a Holiday Inn or a Hilton or a Marriott. You've done that 1,000 times. It was so fun to stay inside a Polish home, open up a Polish refrigerator. I mean, just all the little difference and nuances. I just loved it. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I'm going to forward this to Buddy Mofford. Tell him you were on the show. He'll get a big kick out of that. And thank you so much for all that you do for dentistry. Thank you so much for coming on our show. And I hope you have a safe flight home.
Okay, thank you, Howard. So stay here. Okay. I will be in touch all the time with
and thank you for your 1,000 posts on Dental Town. For all those years. I've been a big fan of your posts. You've been on there since 2004, and this is 2018. 14 years, 1,000 posts. Thank you so much for sharing so much with all your townies.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you. Take care. Bye.